The big question, should you water when it's hot outside? The answer is yes.
Yes. So,
and it's gonna make a difference whether you have a great big hanging basket, a small little planter, or even if they're planted in the ground down there. That's all gonna make a difference, but the answer is still yes, you should.
yeah, so that's really that question of, there's this myth out there of, you shouldn't water when it's hot out. And I'm going to say that is absolutely categorically false. When it's hot, like we've had this heat, triple digits, even in northern Wisconsin and in Canada, we've had triple digits. Yes, you need to water, especially when it's hot out. So we want to dispel that myth and get rid of that and kind of explain why.
Of course, morning watering, we've said this for years, morning watering is best. And that is because you want that plant to be able to draw out that moisture when it needs it, not the knee-jerk reaction after you see that it's wilty.
Because it might be too late.
Yeah.
There's damage done when you're like, I get home from work and that's my time for watering. But if it's been hot for, 10 hours and you're gone all day long, it might be too late and there might be irrevocable damage done to those plants. So it's best if you can water in the morning when it's cooler, at least. That does help, and it helps that plant retain that moisture and at least have that moisture all day long. But you might be watering multiple times. So when you get home, you might be watering again. And it's just, that's might be part of it when it's so hot that this plant, especially if it's smaller in size, if that smaller soil volume, it might go through that moisture. And I tried, with our big hanging baskets, I never have to water twice during the day because with those 14-inch hanging baskets, it's almost 5 gallons of soil. But we hit the triple digits the last 2 days in a row. And I did have to water, and I thought I could push it, and I saw by 8 p.m. at night, they were needing a drink. So I went through and I watered them again. They just needed it.
It's much easier to keep up with it rather than try to repair your plant after the fact.
Yeah, playing that catch up might not work. So if they need it again in the afternoon, yes, that's gonna be the ticket.
You do all the watering here.
Yeah.
So when we have these hot days, do you let it flow out the bottom? Do you give it way more water than what it needs? Because what do you do?
Knowing that it's going to be triple digits again today, I'm watering it as thoroughly as I can. I don't want that to be my habit though, come when it's only 80 degrees and the nights are 60 degrees. So I don't want that to be my habit. But on the days like this, I'm watering it. I'm seeing a little bit come out the bottom, and then I'm stopping because it can only accept so much in that soil volume. But it's much better that I can come along maybe 2 or 3 in the afternoon when the sun is really at that most intense, and then I'm going to water it again because it's going to need it. It will go through that much water, especially a big planter like that.
So the size of the container makes a big difference as to how much you're going to, because it dries down that much faster.
Yeah. If you bought a lot of little 8-inch hanging baskets, you're finding out right now, that's a lot of work. You might be 3-4 times during the day watering and watering and watering because there's just not that much soil volume.
And the soil that you use is going to show.
We talk about that all the time.
People always say, oh, the heat got them. Correct. The heat got them because the soil wasn't good and you didn't have proper watering.
They went and bought that junky soil from the big box retailers, and when it hits that, those hot dog days of summer, that's where the rubber meets the road. Good quality soil is going to carry you through. That junky soil.
So, okay, we talk about good quality soil.
Yep.
What is it in the soil that makes it good quality soil?
Well, you're looking for, and again, we have the videos where we thoroughly go through that. You're looking for like something, especially with like a lot of peat moss or hydrofiber. Those are your actual moisture retaining. That's your moisture control, not the little polymer, pellets that absorb water, but they don't give it back to the plant. So lots of peat moss, good quality soils. Stay away from the big box retailers.
The ones that have the big perlite. Explain just real quick. That perlite does not retain moisture.
No, that's just giving aeration. It's just taking up, filling some space, giving some air in the soil, but that's not a moisture control.
No, it's not any moisture control.
Yeah, that's just filler space, and that's okay, at some extent. But a good quality soil, again, this is where the rubber meets the road. You're gonna find out with the heat that those cheap, junky soils, they don't deliver what they promise.
So, best way to check your soil, because you don't want a knee-jerk reaction and douse it so much that it's soggy.
Yes, yep.
But you're going to use your finger, or we have moisture meters.
Yep, you can go on our beatyourneighbor.com website. We do have moisture meters that we like, and those are a great tool to use, so you can check that soil and make sure that it does have, thoroughly, that you've got that moisture down deep into that soil, not just that top inch, because it's going to need it.
Because even in the hot days like this, you get caught up with dahlias.
Dahlias, there's a few plants that you really need to check, and dahlias, I got to check them because dahlias can go one way or the other. They can droop because they're too wet or too dry. So that's been one that, especially in this heat, I was like, oh, the dahlias are drooping again. I need to check because I've been watering heavy and they also don't like that. So I've had to go in there and look at that soil and verify. So check it, especially if you have dahlias. Dahlias don't like to be wet, and they can trip you up. Salvias are drinking lots of water right now.
They are.
And boy,
they're looking beautiful though.
they're looking gorgeous, but salvias are not on that. They usually don't do that in too much, being too wet. If I see salvias drooping, they need a good drink. So, and
when we're talking about the too wet or watering more, we're really talking about the hottest days of the year.
Yeah,
and that's
the exception.
That's a short period of time that we're talking
for
about.
us. If you're in the southern states, you might be dealing with this all the time, all throughout summer and fall maybe, but it's not common for us. Although we live in a greenhouse environment, so our plants are in 120 degrees in the greenhouses. So most people don't have 120 degrees in their yard. So we are used to it. It's just we're not used to it outside. So, but petunias, geraniums, like all these plants can handle extreme heat, but the care needs to go up. That, the care cannot be flippant, because that forgiveness period is going to be very short. If you're like, I didn't water today, it was only 98 degrees. Yeah, there's probably going to be dead plants that you can be dealing with.
So real quickly, I know people are going to ask, can they fertilize when it's this hot?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still fertilizing, and I put all my planters and hanging baskets on a constant feed with the Beat Your Neighbor fertilizer throughout the summer. So the constant feed is at a lower dose, but they're getting fed every time that I water, which is daily or twice daily. So yeah, they are absolutely getting fed. I'm giving those plants what they need. They're needing moisture and they're needing nutrients. So I am absolutely feeding them during even extreme heat. So yeah, they are.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.